Hello, good morning, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're joining from. I'm Ali Muhammad, and I'll be your moderator for today. Um, our program for today is the Postgraduate School Nuts and Bolts, where we'll hear from various speakers on issues around postgraduate school. So today we have with us Ms. Nafisa Abidemi Abdulkadir, an Erasmus scholar, Abdulkarim Shamba, a graduate student at Carnegie Mellon University, and Olanrewaju Ayobami, also a graduate student from CMU Africa. So they will be speaking on topics around applying into postgraduate school, sustaining your postgraduate studies, and what happens after your postgraduate study. So our first speaker would be Nafisa, who will be talking about how she'll be sharing her experience on how she was able to get admitted. She was able to get the award for her Erasmus scholarship. Then Olanrewaju Ayobami would speak on sustaining your stay in the postgraduate school, how you stay in postgraduate school, probably mix it up with work and all. Then Abdulkarim Shamba would brush over everything and talk about after postgraduate school. So without wasting much of our time, I would call Nafisa to take the stage.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm just going to turn off my camera because of my network, and I'm going to put up my slide now. Please, can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good morning once more, everyone. My name is Abdulkadir Nafisa Abidemi, and I am a 2021 Erasmus Mundus scholar. I would be sharing my experience with applying and winning the Erasmus scholarship and a few other scholarships too. So
You might want to put your slide on slide mode.
it is currently on slide mode. Okay, hold on, let me reshare. Hi, Mohammed, is it better now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, I would like to brush our minds on what a postgraduate scholarship really means. A postgraduate scholarship is an amount of money provided to a student to help them cover the cost of their master's degree, their tuition. Some scholarships provide you with full tuition and even stipends, and some just provide you with just the tuition. So you need to know what kind of scholarship you're applying to and what they offer. So a postgraduate scholarship is an amount of money that is provided to a student to help them cover the cost of their master's degree, a PhD, an MBA, or even a postdoctorate degree, as the case may be. And we have several types of scholarships. We have the conventional scholarships, we have merit-based scholarships, we have bursaries, we have country-based scholarships, we have course-based scholarships, and a couple of others. So you need to know which scholarship is applicable to you or which scholarship can you apply for and you have a high chance of winning. And some of the conventional scholarships that we have includes the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, your Commonwealth, your MasterCard scholarship, the Chinese government scholarship, the Hong Kong scholarship, and a couple of others. For course-based scholarship, some schools, most especially schools in the UK, offer course-based scholarship. So if you're applying for a master's in, say, data science and analytics, the faculty provides you with a scholarship, although the scholarships are quite limited. So you need to know how much they offer. Is it going to be sufficient for you? Can you meet up with the balance? Or would you just go for the regular conventional scholarships that take care of all your needs, like the MasterCard scholarship, the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, and the Commonwealth scholarship, or even the Chevening scholarship? So you need to know what kind of scholarship they offer, how much is it sufficient for you, or is it going to cover your basic needs, or is it something that you would have to work alongside with? You need to know what kind of scholarship it is. Please let me know if I break at some point and you can't hear me anymore. Is that fine?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's fine, ma'am. We can still hear you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we
So
can
first
still
of
hear you.
all, thank you so much. I would be talking about applying for postgraduate opportunities. I'll just be sharing some tips and some steps that you could take that would guide you in applying for the scholarship. So, because I'm not speaking about just one scholarship right now, it might be difficult to give you the exact procedure. So, I'm just going to share general tips around applying for several scholarships. First of all, in my own opinion, I would advise you to make a list of all the possible scholarships that you're eligible for. Google is your friend. There are a lot of scholarships out there. A lot of sessions are being held now to tell you about the different kinds of scholarships that are out there. So you need to sit down, get your pen and paper, go to Google and check for all the different scholarships that you're eligible for, the ones that your country is allowed to apply for, the ones that your course is allowed to apply for, the course that you would intend to go for in your master's. So get a list and write everything down. Then begin to look at the requirements for each of those scholarships. If you're applying for Erasmus Mundus scholarship, there are different types of Erasmus programs. You need to know what the requirement is for each of those programs. For me, I go into the general program, that's the green networking and cloud computing. My own program required me to submit a motivational video and a motivational essay, same as my personal statement. So you need to know what that scholarship is requesting you to submit to them. After you get the requirements for each of those scholarships, take a look at the ones that you think you have a better chance of securing. You should know. So some of those scholarships tell you your academic performance has a certain percentage, maybe 20%. Your recommendation letters has a certain percentage of about 30. So you need to know where your strength lies. If you didn't do so well in school, maybe you had a 2-2 or a 2-1, you need to know, do I stand a good chance of getting in? If you don't stand a good chance, it is just best to quickly strike it out and not waste too much of your eggs. Look at the scholarships that give you a better edge. That's what I would do if I was in your situation, because that was what I did and it helps me. So I had to look through to see the ones that would favor me, the ones that, okay, so for some scholarships, they ask you to they ask you to check your transcripts and ensure that you've taken some certain courses and you should have a certain grade in those courses. So you need to know, did I do so well? Maybe, for example, they are requesting linear algebra, that's maths, I think maths 1-1 or so in FUTMINA. They're requesting for that. You need to know what you scored. If you had a D or an E, that is not a good score. So you need to know those things. Will this thing weigh my chance? Will this thing spoil my chances of getting in? You need to check and see which one is best for you to go for, to put all your eggs in and just strike it at once. Then also, some programs require you to write English test or GRE. That's the maths exam, maths and quants. So you need to know what the minimum scores are for those exams. For Erasmus, most of their programs require you to just have a 6.5 in IELTS and you're good to go. For schools in the US, some schools require you to have 7.5, some 7.0 for IELTS, and then GRE maybe a 315 or 305 or greater than 300, if I may say. So you need to know what those programs require you to provide and you need to also plan well when preparing for these exams. You need to have like a minimum band where you expect to fall into, just so you can stand a better chance of securing that scholarship. Then do your due diligence before sending out the application. Please reach out to senior scholars who have gotten those scholarships to guide you. You can ask questions. Some people do not give room for mentorship or mentorship. So you need to ask them, please, can you mentor me? If they say no, okay, can I ask questions when I'm unclear about certain things? Some would say yes, some would say no. If they say no, not everybody is open to mentoring people. Not everybody is open to speaking out. Not everybody knows how to do mentorship. So you shouldn't enforce it on people. You can ask questions. First of all, before you even ask anybody anything, please check on Google. Majority of the questions that you have or the answers that you need are on Google. So please try to check online first of all before going into people's DM to bother them. Then also, please, you need to start drafting out your personal statement. Your personal statement is a very important aspect of your application, no doubt. You need to know what the program is all about. The program website has a lot of information already for you, where you can just go see what they're tailoring the program into, the direction that the program is going towards, and then you can use that to draft your personal statement. Your personal statement has to be unique to you. It has to be peculiar to your own story. You can't just pick someone's personal statement and try to modify it to suit your own application. That would cause you an issue most times. So you need to be original, you need to be real, you need to be authentic in your personal statements, and it needs to carry enough weight. Someone said your personal statement has to be emotional, no, not emotional, it has to be full of passion. Yeah, it has to show that you're really passionate about the program you're going for. It has to show that you're really intentional about graduate school. Because to be honest, a lot of people are applying and you're not the only candidate. You need to stand out. You need to show them that you're a different person and you have so much to offer the school or the scholarship, and you would be a great alumni at the end of your program. Then also your reference letters. Please, your reference letters are very important. I can't overemphasize this. You need to also be very intentional about your reference letters. You need to reach out to your professors or your lecturers ahead of time so they're not caught unaware when they begin to get mails that they should submit a recommendation letter on your behalf. Your recommendation should come from someone who knows you so well and can write about you to the best of their ability. Some lecturers would ask you to give them a template or to just give them a brief info about you, because not everybody remembers so much about the students that they've taught. They've taught several students. So you need to, some lecturers will give you that privilege to write a draft and share with them, and they can just modify and put their signature and submit for you. That works too. But you need to be very intentional about picking your referees. Your referees should be people that have a social media presence, to be honest. People that they have says in the academic. People that when you Google them, you can easily find them online, not just a random person that may not have so much to offer. So you need to be very intentional, please. Okay, some programs require you to submit a motivational video alongside your personal statement. My own program required a motivational video of about 3 minutes. Yeah, so I had to send a video with my personal statement. Then some programs require you to submit a research proposal. Yeah, so for research proposal, some Erasmus programs require you to submit a research proposal. Most schools in the US, if you're going for a PhD, maybe a direct PhD, they could request for a research proposal alongside your other documents that you'll be submitting when applying. Then cold emailing professors is still one of the most easiest ways to secure funding for scholarships. Cold emailing is when you draft a mail and send to a professor. Hi, Professor this, or hello, Professor this, or good morning, Professor that. My name is Abdulkadir Nafisa Abidemi. I am a graduate of computer science from the Department of so and so. I had this grade in my undergraduate during my undergraduate studies. I have this background. My final year project was based on this. I looked through your I've looked through your profile, through your lab, and I can see that you're working on this. I have a passion. I am interested in this. Just go straight to the point. There are several samples of emails that you could send to professors on Google, so you could check. I think that's one of the easiest ways because the competition there is quite less than the regular scholarships that we all know about. By the time you check the statistics for Chevening or Commonwealth, you'd see that the numbers are skyrocketing every year, and the chances of you getting in is getting slimmer day by day. So you need to know the fastest way for you to get in. You need to know the easiest way also for you to get in, and you need to be intentional. Any questions so far?
We're good.
Okay, thank you. So for the second
Oh,
part of my
sorry, please. I don't know if I'm permitted to ask a question.
yes, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Now, what I want to ask is, most times, graduates when okay, now I have graduated, and I'm kind of okay. The skill set I'm having is not enough, and when I want to email a professor, how do you think I should please go about it? Like, I don't know, like sometimes you feel we are not fit, and I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say.
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for bringing this up. So, this self-doubt thing is very, very common where you feel like you're not enough or you do not have so much in your portfolio to share, or you just feel like, will they pick me? Do I stand a chance? I feel like you need to just constantly build on yourself. The few skill sets that you have, package it very well and put it out there.
Please, can you repeat yourself?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I was saying this self-doubt thing is very common where we feel like we're not good enough, or we feel like the skills that we currently have do not match what the professor needs, or you just feel like someone else is out there who stands a better chance, who has more skill sets than I do. What I would advise you to do in such a situation is package the few skill sets that you have, package it very well. If you need to take courses online to help improve your chances, please do. If you need to volunteer, volunteering is still one of the nicest ways to impress those professors and to impress the scholarship body. So you could volunteer. There are a lot of NGOs out there where you could volunteer for, and you could add that to your portfolio as well. So never feel like you're not good enough. The little that you have may just be what the professor out there is looking for. So whatever it is that you have already, just package it very well, add more to it, and keep on adding, keep on improving on yourself every day. A new day is a better day for you to do better than yesterday. So do not give up. Do not feel like you're not good enough. No, that's a very wrong mentality. Do not feel like your skill set is not sufficient to get you into graduate school. Your skill set is okay. You just need to keep on improving. In as much as you've gotten a good grade, that would help you to stand out, because that's like the foundation. It's very hard for someone who has a 2-2 to get into graduate school, to be very honest with you. I'm not saying it is impossible, but it is quite competitive because you have people who already have first class and who have 2-1s already. So if you have a good grade, you stand a better chance. If your final year project is tailored towards what the professor is currently doing in his lab, or is quite related, back in Nigeria, we do not do so much of research as they do outside the country. So if it's just a little bit of what the professor may be doing that you already have an idea of, you can just build on that and focus your energy on it. Why I'm saying this is because it helped me during my interview, because I had to do an interview with about 4 professors before I got into my program. And when they began to ask me questions, I was quite nervous at first. I was nervous. I felt like I wasn't good enough to, which is why I said this self-doubt thing is there and it exists. So do not ridicule it. When I started, I felt nervous and I just kept presenting, saying what I knew, and just being at my best. And when they began to ask me questions about around machine learning, because my final year project was tailored towards machine learning, I was able to leverage my strength on that because I knew what I worked on. When they began to ask me about my results, what my accuracy was, my sensitivity, specificity, I was able to give them direct values because I did my project by myself and I was able to leverage that strength. Fortunately for me, one of the professors had worked on something similar and then we began to gist. So that was where I was able to sell myself. So you need to know what works for you. You need to know how to market yourself always. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm indeed very grateful for that answer. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question, please, before I proceed?
All right. I also have two questions to ask. Thank you for
Okay.
the privilege you gave us for this lecture. Thank you. I really appreciate.
You're
All right. I would
welcome.
like to ask you when you were talking about NGO, is it any form of NGO or something related to your course? Then the second one, having drafted a good SOP and probably someone had reviewed it for you, that SOP is just particular for a school. Can you now continue editing for other schools since you are not planning to apply to just only one school? Thank you.
Okay, so if I get you clearly, you're asking about volunteering experience, right? That's community development. So to be honest with you, SDGs, as Sustainable Development Goals, is still one of the most talked about volunteering opportunity out there today. And it doesn't have to be related to your program, to be honest, but it is best to have something related to your program. For me, my program has to do with sustainability, and I'm going to study something around green networking and cloud computing. But all my life, I have volunteered as just a regular volunteer. I volunteer with Lagos Food Bank. I don't know if anybody here is familiar with Lagos Food Bank initiative. We go to slum areas to give out relief materials to people and food. We do that. And I also have volunteered with a small organization that cleans up the beach. So just small volunteering experience. And then during my NYSC days, I volunteered as an SDG advocate. I went to a school. I had a school where I go to mentor students, high school students around SDGs and becoming better ambassadors of their community. So can you see that those things are not even related to tech? They're not related to IT at all. But I was able to speak on those things in my application. So it doesn't have to be tailored. The volunteering experience doesn't have to be tailored towards what you're going to do in graduate school. It doesn't have to be, because it has worked for me. But it is advisable to have volunteering experience in those areas too, as it would show that you're intentional about this thing and you really want to make a change in this area. But it doesn't have to be. If you can't find one that speaks to your area of expertise, you do not have to force it. Just try to do something at least. Is that clear?
Yes, yes. Then the other question.
Okay. What's the other question? I'm sorry, I've forgotten.
Okay, the other question is about SOP. I said, majorly after drafting your SOP up and probably someone helps you to review it, that
Yeah.
SOP, that statement of purpose is directed to a particular school. So when you want to use it, definitely we are not going to apply to just one school. So when
Yeah.
you want to use it for other school, and probably the professor you research in other school, it has a little bit tweak, still related to the other course, but there's a bit, probably you don't mind. For instance, now probably you want to do signal communication and signal processing, and you also went to another school which they didn't really use the topic communication and signal processing. Probably they use communication and networking, and you can still fit in. So how will you need to tweak your SOP and really edit, or what do you think? Or are you going to be writing different SOPs for different schools?
So, to the best of my knowledge, one SOP is never enough. You need to know that one SOP is never enough. You need to know how to reuse, modify, and improve on your SOP. You can have one SOP that is the basic, and then you can always carve out something else from it. You can always modify, reuse, recycle. Do you get? You don't have to, you can't limit yourself to just one SOP. It's just like saying you're applying for a job opportunity and you have just one CV. You should have a CV, your one CV, but then you need to tailor it to different companies. You can't tell me you're coming to, say, for example, InterSwitch as a data analyst, and you submitted your CV to me, and then you're going to maybe Flutterwave, you're going as an insight analyst or a data scientist. You need to modify your CV to suit that role. Same thing as your SOP, same thing as your resume. You need to tailor it to that application. It shows that you're intentional. If you're applying to 10 schools, I'll be very honest with you, you need to modify, you need to have 10 SOPs tailored to each school. Each school has different curriculum, they have different programs. So you can't say you want to submit one application because the programs are similar. If they're similar, it's even easier for you because you're just going to tweak a few little words. But if the programs are quite different, you need to modify your SOP, to be honest with you.
Okay. No, thank you.
You're welcome. Any
Okay,
other question?
please, let's take questions after the entire presentation. So I'll advise we all note our questions down so as to keep to time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mohammed. Okay, so for the second part, I'll be talking about improving your chances of being selected. Almost everything here has been covered. Research. Reach out to past scholars, read up about the scholarship body, apply as early as possible. If you're applying to the US, please apply as soon as possible because they have funding. They have a band for funding, and you need to apply as soon as possible, or even the UK, so that you can have a higher chance of securing the funding. Community development, I already spoke about this. Pay close attention to the scholarship requirements. I already mentioned this earlier. Effective time management, you need to know how to manage your time because you're not submitting one application and you can't submit a generic SOP to them or a generic CV. You have to modify it. So you need to know how to manage your time so you can submit as many as possible applications. Ensure your CV or resume is well tailored to the program you're applying for. I already spoke about this. Your recommendation letters are very important. I've talked about this. Make a scholarship checklist. Yeah, so you need to have a checklist to guide you towards submitting and preparing a winning application. Learn how to modify, reuse, and recycle your essays. I just spoke about this too. Stay organized and keep putting in the work. It would eventually pay off one day. All you need is just 1 year and you're good. Okay, so one of my favorites quote by Napoleon Hill says, procrastination is the bad habit of putting off until the day after tomorrow what should have been done the day before yesterday. Procrastination is a really bad thing because I've seen it play out in my life too, and I know that it is not good. So if you need to do something, please do it at that time. Do not procrastinate. Do not wait till tomorrow, please. Google is your best friend, as always. Yeah, so you need to know what your big idea is. What is your selling point? What makes you stand out from other applicants? You need to know and put these things in your application. These are things that would make you stand out from the crowd. You need to be original as well. And that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll take the next speaker, Ms. Ayobami. Ms. Esther.
Thank you so much. And I'm sorry, I know Nafisa has stolen the show. She has brought the beautiful slide. She has captured everybody's mind. Hopefully, I'll be able to bring everybody's mind to listen to my own presentation. I'm not jealous, Nafisa. I love your presentation.
Esther,
It was
that's
awesome.
not even fair. You know I didn't do that. It wasn't intentional.
It was awesome. Yes, it was. Seriously, she deserves an applaud. Like, that was really spot on. Everything she said was the truth. And if you follow just what she said, definitely your yes is just around the corner. And very soon, you just be like, oh, I didn't know that the journey, though it was tough, it was this easy to get just 1 year. So That was great. Thank you. So once again, let me introduce myself. My name is Ayobami Esther Olanrewaju. I'm a Mastercard scholar at Carnegie Mellon University, Africa. And I think you introduced me as a miss. Sorry, I'm not a miss. Before someone starts sending proposal, I have double ring. I am a married woman. I'm married to a wonderful and a lovely man.
Why are you
And
intimidating us, please?
Apologies for that.
Bye.
that's fine. Most people used to feel like I'm not married, but seriously, I'm married. And definitely, when you're married, the family gets plenty with time. Okay, I think with that being said, so I'll just move into what I'm to discuss. So I think what I'm discussing is about sustaining your scholarship. So it's more like now you've gotten into the school, now you have your years, now you're a graduate student, and the excitement, the fact that you feel like I've crossed a very big hurdle, and it looks like I think I am now fully fine. I'm now fully secured. I'm in my dream school, or I've started working under my dream professor. I have my research lab to myself, or if it's a full ride scholarship like Erasmus, like MasterCard, like Chevny, like Nafisa said, you feel like, wow, now it feels like there's a big relief and I can start living my life the way I want because now I have what I've been looking for. But I'm sure countless of time we've always had graduate students feeling like, graduate school can really be tiring. Like it can be so frustrating. And you hear some people be like, am I really sure that this PhD program I'm going for, am I really sure I really wanted it in the beginning? Some even feel like I think it's time to drop out. So all of those feeling with the feeling of getting overwhelmed is all part of graduate school. And a lot of people when they come with the mentality that, oh now I'm in graduate school. Graduate school just feels exactly like my undergraduate school. I think one of the best way to distinguish the two is if you schooled in Nigeria just like me. I went to Federal University of Technology, Mina. It's a wonderful school, by the way. Like it's a federal school, it was cool, it was nice. They tried their best. You will notice that when you're in undergraduate school, the kind of teaching pattern is kind of different from when you're in graduate school. A typical Nigerian school or an African school or most schools in Africa, basically, they operate on what they call a teacher-centered mode of teaching. I'm sorry I didn't prepare a slide, so just catch as much as you can. So they operate what they call a teacher-centered. Teacher-centered in the sense that they teach you, like you go to a class, like we all often do, and then the teacher teaches you some few things. You ask just some few questions in the class. If you like, you ask. If you like, you don't ask. And then when it comes to the time for exam, you just regurgitate, or maybe you just add some few things of yours. You don't need to like do extra learning or expand yourself beyond what you've been taught. It's more like what they give you, it's what you give to them. And at the end, you feel like, oh yeah, I've learned quite a lot. Being that the teacher is throwing information at me, I keep catching it and then I give the response back. But now when it comes to graduate school, most graduate school does not operate under teacher centered. Now it is more like learner centered, meaning like the school revolves around you, around what you want, around your future, around your career plans, and around what you intend or what you want to be in future. That's it. So meaning that if a lecturer typically teaches you A, B, and C, they expect you to expand to the D and the E and the F region. And they expect both of you, having expand to the D, E, and F, you come together and then you do the G, H, and the rest alphabet. Meaning that they don't expect that when they teach you one thing, you just give back what they give to you like that. No, it doesn't work that way. Graduate school, and they expect that you and your professor or you and your supervisor, both of you are colleagues. So they don't refer to you like I'm a student, so which means I'm down here. I'm a professor, it means I'm up here. No, both of you are here. All you just need to do is both of you need to work together in order to achieve your goal. So because of the fact that you're coming from teacher-centered to a learner-centered, the time it takes for you to grow and to understand how both works might really be a challenge because you might still be coming with the mentality of, oh, probably they'll give us some past questions to use, or probably, oh, I can talk to my classmates and get some information, and then I'll just understand everything. It makes it easy. But sometimes it's kind of very different, because you get to a school, the school tells you that the academic integrity policy states that maybe some courses you can't even talk to your colleagues. The only person you can talk to is the professor and maybe the teaching assistant that is assigned to those courses. I will still explain what the teaching assistant and how they relate to each courses so that you can understand how the flow of things is. So they can tell you that maybe even doing external research, like checking on Google, looking at other people's work, counts as academic integrity violation, meaning that, like in my school, if they find out that you did any form of academic integrity violation, they can expel you. If for that course, if that's your first time, they give you an R, which means that you failed and you cannot retake the course. And then if that is your second time, the school expels you totally. And if they find out after you've graduated, they withdraw your certificate from you and they redact your name from any record that you came to the school. So when you think about all of these things, and you be like, you mean that for me to just search on Google, just to look at other people's solution, or even discuss general idea with my colleagues, now make it look like I am cheating? When in our basic schools or in our undergraduate school, we feel like the only way of cheating is probably you're in an exam, you kind of giraffe, you bring a paper into the hall, you bring your phone, or maybe you write something on your hand, your palm. But this time around, the way they define academic integrity is not very different. And because of the difference in what they call the academic integrity, it's kind of easy for you to like miss the mark. And when you're thinking about missing the mark and trying to be on course, the whole thing might make it very frustrating. Let's now say, like, for someone who is like a first year and maybe you're into a research program, even the research you thought you were coming to do, when you get there, they've kind of switched your topic, and now you have to learn on something quite new. And you don't even know where to meet, where to get the information, and the whole thing feels so complicated. All this feeling together is what makes people feel like graduate school is very frustrating, because you're not used to the setting, and then it kind of just feels like this is a lot. And another thing is, when it comes to some deadline, let's say in our schools, probably some courses, they just give you an assignment once in a while. And again, you can even skip this assignment. You might not even worry about your assignment. What is an assignment? You do it or you don't do it. But this time around, people take assignments very seriously. Like, if you fail an assignment, you find out that it's relatively very hard for you to even make a very good grade in the course. And you're like, assignments? And your assignment, there are rules that surround it. You can't ask anyone. You can't talk to anybody. You can only talk to your TA. To your colleagues is illegal. You can only talk to the instructors. You know, all of this thinking around, you cannot talk to this, you cannot talk to that, and even you yourself, you don't even have idea how to solve your assignment. That itself makes it very, very complex. And you're like, how am I going to do this? And this assignment, don't forget that they all have deadlines. Like in my school, if you're a student of CME, definitely you'll be familiar with the slang of 11:59, because all our assignments ends by 11:59. Once it's 11:59, the portal closes and you can't submit your assignment again. Some lecturer, they allow you to submit your assignment, but they'll take 20% off, or they take 10% off, some even 50% off your mark. And you're like, and take 10% off. But by the time you finish calculating it, you find out that your grade has relatively dropped. And you're like, oh my God, this is so different. So that itself is another complex and very, very complex thing. Now, another thing I'll also talk about is now let's talk about you taking a lot of courses. Let's say you've got into graduate school, you know, the excitement is so much, and you're like, wow, now finally I get to take my dream course, what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a data scientist, and I'm seeing very, very interesting courses on data science. So I'm going to do all of these courses. And now let's say you picked, like in my school, most people, you ask them how many courses are they doing. They're doing like 4 courses, maximum 5 courses, and it looks like they are going crazy, because almost every week there is an assignment to be done, and you have maybe one class like 2 times in a week. Now imagine you're doing 5 classes, that means you're doing like 10 times in a week, and there are assignments in between, there might be quizzes in between, and you're like, all of this is overwhelming. Some even have to drop some of those courses, like, oh my God, I'm not going to kill myself. I've gotten to this point. No killing myself. So I have to drop some of the courses. So imagine the fact that the euphoria that you came in, the excitement, the joy, the fact that you were so excited, you know, you have this energy rush, like, yes, I'm going to do all of the courses. Some people sound like fundamentals, but you don't know that those fundamentals are a very deep dive. And then you get there, you see like, oh my God, the task you're being given to do under a very short time is really, really overwhelming. Even though you're not procrastinating, like you decide to do your task on time, you still find out that you still have lesser time to get it done. So that itself, it's it makes the process to be kind of like very, very complex. But at the same time, as complex, as complicated, and as it might look like, people still succeed in graduate school. So now, having known all of this about your deadlines, about picking your courses, about how probably our academic standard, like the mode of teaching, differs. Now, there's something else I want to talk about grades. In our undergraduate school, most schools, they'll be like, once you have 70, you have an A. Once you have some schools, I think maybe 75, but most schools, maybe 70, you have an A. But a typical school like CMU or some American school, they have the standard of for you to have an A, you must have like 90 and above. And when you have 90 and above, doesn't necessarily mean you have an A plus, because in terms of grades, there's something that they call an A plus, there is an A minus, there is a B plus, there's a B minus, and there's a C. And most times, most schools want the minimum you can have for any course is a B. And you're like, a B? In our school, you feel like a B typically is between 60 and 69. So that's great. But in graduate school, they typically tell you that a B starts between 80 and 89. And that's like, but it can differ for different school. But they all are in similar range. You're like, you mean 80 to 89 is a B? How come? Like, that's like a perfect grade. It's already a good grade. Like 80 to 89, that's a good grade. But no, it isn't. For some school, they tell you like the minimum is a B, which is 80. Meaning that if you have anything less than 80, like 79.99999, all like that is a C. And a C already, what it means is that you're going to retake the course. Then you didn't really get the concept, you've not internalized it, you don't understand what you've been taught, and you have to do it again. So imagine that kind of thing, like, what? In my school, once I have 70, I'm already passing. But now you have 70 here, you already failed. So now you now feel like that means I have to work extra harder. I have to like put almost all my strength, all my effort just to get things done. So you see, now we've talked about like how the grade differs, how the teaching styles differ. We've talked about the courses you might be taking. And then we have looked at probably the deadlines. Now, how exactly, even with all of this, how can you survive in a graduate school? And how can you make sure that you do what you need to do on time? So one of the first things is once you get to a graduate school, yeah, it's exciting, it's fun. The first few weeks might be tough. Once you get there, you feel like things are tough. Calm down, just take a chill pill. Everybody feels like that. The first few weeks is always overwhelming for everyone. So just take it like you're not the only one that is in this situation, meaning that you're not alone. And if you're not alone, it should kind of give you some form of comfort. Secondly, there are different opportunities that are available in different schools. Like in my own school, when you are kind of like in that kind of a situation where you feel like you're at the fix, you're confused, everything is complex, you don't know what to do. Our school kind of provide like a therapy session. You can go for therapy. You can also talk to older students to give you their tips and tricks on how they've been able to overcome such challenges. You can also talk to maybe student services. So you can ask probably because they often assigned an advisor to your students. You can often talk to your advisor and ask like, is there someone I can talk to in my school? Is there like, I don't hide it. Let me tell you the truth. The truth is when you hide something, it festers and it gets more complicated. And the more complicated it gets, the more you're scared. And the more you waste time, the more it takes time for you to be able to solve any of your problems. So once you start feeling that, the first thing is to find someone to talk to. Like, I don't know what exactly is going on. I feel like this program is complicated. I feel like this program is complex. I feel like I don't know what I am doing. In that kind of way, when you talk to someone, you can find someone who has been in a similar situation who can give you like specifically tailored advice to your school. Like in my own school now, when it comes to that kind of situation, what we first I'll ask students is, how many courses are you taking? And when you ask students how many courses you're taking, you ask like some of them, you find out that they take so many courses than what they could handle. And because they take so many courses than what they can handle, sometimes they're not even learning from those courses. Because let's say you're taking a lot of courses, it looks like you're living from assignment to assignment. You're not even internalizing anything. You're not even getting anything. You also have to finish one assignment and finish another one and finish another. So at the end of everything, it gets frustrating. So you might first ask, how many courses are you taking? Like all these courses you're taking, how many of them do you really sit down to study, to read, to probably do some other extra research as you're instructed to? Or how many time have you probably paid a visit to your TA, which is your teaching assistant, to seek for help? And then you find out that sometimes they feel like they are doing it on their own, meaning they kind of like, I'll struggle on my own and get it done. But a lot of times struggling on your own might not really give you the results you are looking for. So when you talk to someone, they can give you like specific advice, tell you, okay, let's look at the courses you're doing. How many of these courses do you think is specifically tailored towards your career goal? And then you look at it, okay, this one seems more closer because I've attended the lecture, I've seen what the lecturer has been saying, and it's kind of tailored to what I want to do. And so the students can then tell you that, okay, and then instead of like, oh, okay, this is fine, then maybe I will have to like drop some courses. You understand? I'll drop some courses and I'll continue with the remaining courses so far as I have the minimum course load. Another thing is that, when it comes to graduate school, some people just kind of like, I'm going to go on there, use all your full forces to tackle it and the rest. No, calm down first, settle in. Just take your time to settle in. Some people even advise that in your first year, you take like the minimum course load. Even if you want to go above the minimum course load, maybe maybe a smaller course just above the minimum course load. Like in my school, the maximum course load you can take is 54, the minimum is 36. So for a first year, we often advise that you often do maybe the 36, which is the minimum. At least test the water, know how tough it is, know how it is before you dive in, before you find yourself that you entered into the higher tide and boom, you're going down and you're like, who is going to rescue you? So instead of you wasting all of those times just trying to test the water and then having to drop a course at the end when it has already been affecting your other grades, that's itself is a no-no. And another thing is some people don't even start their research in their first semester, which means that they want to first test how exactly is it. Let me know the system. Let me get used to the system. Then I can then add my research track to it. But for people that are research assistant, let's say they are not on full ride scholarship, their professor will advise that, okay, they also what they are doing with their research alongside. That also applies. If you take like the minimum course and then together with the research you're doing with your professor, at that point, it's not like beyond your capacity and you should be able to like find a way to manage your time. Another thing is it's very, very important. This, I know that already you're in graduate school. Some graduate school allows you to kind of switch your focus. Let's say now you find out to yourself, like maybe when you're going to school, you already thought like, okay, the concentration I'm going for is going to be energy system. And then you got there and found that everything in energy does not interest you. You could find out like, I find that I'm more drawn to maybe software development, or I'm more drawn to networking, or I'm more drawn to this. So find an area of your passion so you can still switch even within the graduate school in the same department. It might just be a difference in concentration. So you can try and put yourself where your strength is. Meaning don't just go outside of what you know how to do or outside of something you're passionate for. So that when the going gets tough, you can kind of remind yourself that I'm doing this for me. I'm doing it because I love to do it, not because anybody forced me to be here, and I'm doing it for my passion. And don't overkill yourself. Don't take too many courses, like I've told you before. Another thing that is very key for a graduate student is time management. See, nobody can tell you enough about how important time management is. Time management is very crucial because if you don't manage your time very well, you find out that all the time you always be sad. Because one, if your grades are failing and you're not submitting your assignments on time, or your deliveries are not being met on time, you start doubting yourself, you start feeling frustrated. And then when you start comparing yourself to your classmates and start looking like, my classmate seems to be getting it done on time and I haven't done, frustration starts setting in. And when frustration starts setting in, you start getting worried. And when you start getting worried, you stop being happy. And if you stop being happy, then your energy and your morale start dropping. And when it gets to the point where your energy and your morale start dropping, you start failing. And that's the way it is about life. So in that kind of situation, what you can do is time management. There are two tips that I use for my own time management, then I'll share with you. One of it is using a priority quadrant. What a priority quadrant is you do very important, not necessarily important, and least important. Then you put your activities in any of those quadrants. So what you have to do is the ranking you've given your task, do the most important one first, because the most important one is the one that gives you the greatest joy, because that, oh, now I know that the heavy task is off my neck. The least task is what is just the way behind. Let's say now that as a woman, you know that you have your assignment to be done and to be submitted, or maybe a research assignment given to you by your professor, or maybe you have your teaching assistant job and you've not really done it. And then you know that you still need to go and make your hair, you need to go fix your nails, you need to take care of but you know that at that point, your nails, your hair is not really like a priority. I'm serious. Some people, yes, I know that being clean is a good thing, but you know that maybe you have to look for another trick. Like, let's weave this hair, put a wig on it. When I have more time, or maybe over the weekend, when things are a bit softer, then I go get that one done. Or if you're like me, that make my hair myself, you be like in the midnight when I'm done submitting my assignment, I do it myself. And in the morning, everybody feel like, oh, the hair spray man is nice. So that's it. So what does that mean to you? Meaning that you should do your highest priority task first. Like the story of the big stone and the tiny stone. They tell you that if you put the small stone, then it's so difficult for you to put the bigger stone. But when you put the bigger rock, it's so easy for the smallest rock to find space in between the bigger rock. So that's it. So do your very, very important priority tasks first. Another thing you can do is the Pomodoro technique. The Pomodoro technique is a technique that helps you to concentrate. So what it does for you is you write your activities. You already have like an agenda of things you want to do, and then you tell yourself, like, you see, for this activity or this task I want to do, maybe you decide, like, for my 30 minutes of this task, I'm going to be specifically spending time working on this task. And after that task, you can take like a 5-minute break in between. Then after your 5-minute break, you come back and take maybe another 30 minutes. That's the way I structure mine. Most time Pomodoro takes between 10 minutes to 15 minutes, but if you have a lot of things to do, you kind of like extend the minutes, and then you take breaks in between. So those breaks in between help you to recalibrate yourself and help you to it helps you to refresh your brain, your memory, and makes you feel like human being. It doesn't make you feel like a robot that works all days. So when you try the Pomodoro technique together with your priority quadrant, it should kind of help you with your task. Another thing is, as a graduate student, you can't run away from your to-do list. In fact, it's very important. Your to-do list helps you to get all the activities you need to be done for a day. And it's easy for you to know when you are done with it. Either you want to use your phone, either you want to use your sticky notes, either you want to use your jotter, either you want to use your notes. Anyone you want to use is fine. Just make sure that every day you have your activity drafted. And when you have your activity drafted, once you've done it, you can see it and you can strike it out, or you can just tick it. That way you can say, oh, these are the tasks I've done today. And that itself makes you feel better, makes you feel happy. Another trick that can help you is when you feel so overwhelmed, you feel so tired, and you feel like, oh my God, I just can't do this again. I think that's one of the signs for you that close your laptop, close your books, leave school activities, at least for that time, until your brain and your memory is back, and then you feel yourself. You can dance, you can laugh, you can call your friends, you can watch a movie. That way your mind feels cool. That way you feel okay. You frustrated, like, I'm just doing this since morning, I'm not getting anything out of it, I can't really help myself. If you get to that point, just leave it. Leave everything alone. Take some time out, go and sleep, go and rest, go watch a movie, do something else, do something different. When you take that kind of time out, it helps you to calm down. It helps your body to feel better, because if your health is failing, there is no way you can even try and put your best into anything you're doing. So it's very, very important, and it's very key for you to ensure that you also draft your resting time into your activity that you're doing. Another thing is find friends. Seriously, you can't there is no way somebody can pass through graduate school alone. You need people around you, you need support system, so that even when you've tried everything and things doesn't seem to work, you have someone you can talk to, someone that kind of gets you, someone that kind of understands you and know how you're doing and can check on you. And iron sharpeneth iron, such as a friend sharpen the countenance of his other friend. Meaning that when you're down, someone can be there just to elevate you, to talk to you, to tell you things that makes you happy. Like, there was a time during last semester I was doing the maximum courses, and that was because I was trying to prepare myself for the internship. And it feels like a lot. It was so much. And I wasn't just doing the maximum courses. I was the international student minister. I was the women in tech minister. I was like women in tech president. I have so many tasks and so many activities, and it was so complicated. And I was so worried. And then I spoke to one of my friends, and my friend told me one thing that really changed my mind. He said, if this were to be easy, that means you're not learning. He said, just think about yourself as a child. When a child needs to stand up and move, he falls severally, or she falls, the child falls. And then the child stands up again and pick up the race and keep moving. The more the child falls, the more the child wants to try. And the more you try, the more you get better. Meaning that the first time you are trying to learn, you are stretching and it's quite difficult. Even gold itself, wouldn't say it was so nice to pass through fire. Even when you are cutting a diamond, the diamond can't tell you that, it feels so easy to cut me and to shape me. And which means that every process in life, definitely there have to be some tough time that comes with it. But what helps you through all those tough time is the fact that you just remind yourself of the reason why you started in the first instance, and the fact for that you're going to put all it takes to get what you want. Another thing is when you know they are not getting a topic or you don't kind of seem to understand it, you can meet with the professor, you can talk with them, you can even ask them for personal evaluation. These are people that are human beings. They care for you just as much as they care for what they're lecturing. They want you to get it, they want you to understand, they want you to impact the world. So sometimes when you talk to them, it kind of gives you another different perspective that you might not be seeing before. So don't feel scared. Don't feel scared. And I think another thing I want to say is do away with imposter syndrome. Everybody feels it. You feel like, I don't think I'm the one that did this. I don't think I'm capable. Yes, we all think like that. Even with that thought, just keep moving on and keep trying. If you keep doing something consistently every day and keep adding little by little by little by little to it, you'll find out that at the end, you would have succeeded beyond your imagination. And please, before you begin any semester in school, just make sure you have a target. Like most times for me, I target like the highest score, meaning that I just want the 100 over 100, even though I know that it might be very tough and very difficult. But when you aim for the skies, even if you don't get there, you might land on the moon or on the stars. But if what you're aiming for is very small, it's so difficult for you to even land in the right place. Like I told you, A starts from like 90. So now imagine you're aiming for 80, which means you just want the minimum grade. And at the end of it, which means the highest you can get is like a 3.0 over 4.0. And you know that this life is highly very competitive. Even if you're not competing with anybody, you're competing with yourself because you want yourself to be the best out of yourself. Not because you want to look at your friend is doing this and you want to be like a friend. No, but because you want to look at yourself and be like, yeah, I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of where I've gotten to and I'm proud of where I'm going to. So I would just advise you, like, you should set a very, very high target for yourself. Aside from setting a high target, I think one of the major things that kill people in graduate school is the fact that you compare yourself with your classmates. We are all different. Even if both of you are doing the same master's degree, even if both of you are doing the same concentration, at the end, if you ask them, everybody have different reasons for doing different things. So don't compare yourself at any point in time with them. They might be getting a topic faster than you do. You take your time, but not that you should be as slow as a tortoise, but take your time. Take time to internalize it. Know yourself. Know what works for you. If you're a night person, yes, you function best at night. If you're a day person, I function best at day. But the thing is, don't just leave your work and just not do anything about it. No, just keep doing something about it. You can use the 30-minute rule, meaning that every day, 30 minutes every day, I want to keep adding, I want to keep learning, I want to just keep adding to myself. Not because of the fact that I'm trying to learn because I'm in graduate school and I have to, but because of the fact that you are learning in order to be able to apply it in the future. Let's not forget that the master's degree, the PhD you're doing, you're not doing it because you just want the grade, you want the paper, you want to become somebody different, someone can reckon with, someone can just pick a phone and be like, I am stuck here. How exactly do I fix it? So the goal of a graduate school, majorly, it's not just because you want to go there and acquire another degree to add to your arsenal, or you want to add something else to your folder. No, the goal is for you to be able to learn something different, something you can apply, something that you can use in solving problems, something that you know that tomorrow it can be part of you, not something that once you drop the degree, you drop the certificate, you've forgotten about. So in everything you do, just always remember that and let it be like your career plan, your goal, and who you want to be in future is what directs you and what leads you. If you do all of this and you make sure that you don't panic, you take your time, you talk to people, you put all your best into your courses, then definitely you're going to succeed. I think one last thing I wanted to say is working and schooling. For some people, they have a full ride scholarship like Erasmus, like Chevening. It's so easy for you not to work at school, meaning that please face your studies, concentrate on it. Like in my school, it's so difficult for you to work at school, like work outside, like do external jobs. It's very difficult because if you're not careful, your external job demands your time, school demands your time. Now your attention is divided. And if you're not careful, you'll just be frustrated, you'll be sad, you'll be failing, and you might have to drop out of school. So sometimes you need to pick one. And you can ask your school if there is opportunity for student jobs. So what people do oftentimes in student job, they work within the school because the school already knows how tough, how difficult the courses are. So the jobs are not really as tedious, as hard as external jobs. So you could ask for the opportunity or the possibility of what student job, or maybe you can ask for the opportunity of working with a professor within your school, meaning that you work as a research assistant to them. But that come eventually within your program as you take your courses one after the other. Another thing people use is a TA. Like in my own school, second year students are often TAs to the courses they've taken before. TA meaning that you're a teaching assistant, meaning that you can help people with the assignments. When they are stuck at a particular topic, you can easily help them scale through that by coming to meeting with you. That way, that's like a good way of seeking help and clarification aside from going outside, because the professor already gave them probably areas where they could talk to with the students and they know their limits. Meaning when you go to them for help, they know how to assist you within the normal rules and regulations that surrounds academic integrity violation in their school. So when these people can, or you can also use that as a means of what, getting more funding. Meaning when you work as a TA, they pay you per month and then you add that to sustaining yourself. And then some schools also offer some payment off based on probably some activities that you do for the school. So you can ask for all of those things instead of doing an external job, because it's very difficult to do an external job. Most people that do external job, they often drop out of the program because they feel like it's so complicated for them. So you can ask about the possibility of doing a student job, and if you have a full ride scholarship, it's always advisable for you to just stick with your courses. Make sure you get it. You just want to know it. When you know it and you are a professional in that field, definitely money is a byproduct of the problems you can solve and how best you're willing to solve problem. And with that, definitely you won't have any problem with graduate school. And not that you won't have tough time, you know that those tough times wouldn't last. And you're always there putting your best, and putting your best then gives you the smile and the happiness you want. And if things get difficult, talk to other people. You can talk to other scholars. You can form a group within yourself that you can talk to. You can also go for therapy session. It also helps. I feel like as an African, you don't need therapy. What's there? I could just think about it myself. No, sometimes when you talk to other people, they're able to give you information from their own perspective. And this information can really help you. It can help you see things from an angle you've not seen it before. So I think with these few points of mine, I hope I've been able to give some tips, tricks on how you can sustain yourself in graduate school and avoid the pitfall of getting frustrated and probably having to drop out of the program and hating yourself if you don't want it. All right, thank you. I think I will take your questions now. Thanks for listening to me.
All right, thank you very much. We'll just take the question after the next speaker. Please, you can start dropping your questions at the chat box. So we'll take Mr. Shamba now.
Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon to those not in Nigeria. Just to be sure, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can hear
Okay,
you,
great.
Shamba.
So I'll go ahead right now and share my slides. Okay. A moment. So can everyone see my slides?
I can't see yet.
Okay, still loading. Let me go ahead and share. Okay, I'll do that again.
Hello, Mr. Shamba, are you still here?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. I got dropped off the call. So let me go ahead and share my screen right now. Okay, Aliu, I'm having a technical challenges here, so I think you could just go ahead and answer questions for now while I work on that.
All right, Ms. Nafisa, there is a question for you to share more light on Erasmus Mundus scholarship.
Okay, hi Mohammed. So the Erasmus Mundus scholarship, um, where do I even start from? So there's a catalog. I'm going to drop the link to the catalog in the comment section where you can look through. I think Shamba is back on the call.
Yeah, I think I'm ready now.
Okay.
Okay, so good morning, everyone, and I apologize for the slight delay. So my name is Abdul Kazim Shamba, and I'll be talking to you all today about life after postgraduate school. I think I'm a little bit disadvantaged here because I was given a topic covers life that I've only lived for just 3 months of my life, and also given that I did my graduate school in so much of a hurry, I finished in just 1 year. I think I was not really prepared for this life. So going further, um, I think since this topic is about the nuts and bolts of graduate school, if an officer and Esther has talked about the nuts, I think I'm going to talk about the bolts. So as we all know, you need both to be perfectly in sync for you to get a perfectly fastened nut and bolt cohesion. So for that, I'm going to really brush up on some tips about the school search, the admission requirements, and graduate school. Those are things that Nefisa and Esther has rightly covered. However, I think your life after graduate school starts from the very beginning. For example, when you're searching for schools, consciously, you need schools that align so much with your interest. You're not doing this because you just want to leave the country. I know most of us have that at the back of our mind, but you're doing this because this is where you see yourself working, say 5 years or 10 years down the line. So you need to go through the school search the right way. Same with the admission requirements. Although that will get you into the right institution, but this will also guide you into knowing what you need when you graduate. I will tell you this for sure. If a school rejects your application, you should be grateful for them because one thing I've come to realize is that when your application gets rejected, it means you're not a good fit for that program. And when you go in, you would have struggled, no doubt. So I'll go ahead and talk about the school search. Just like Nafisa has rightly said, you can get the first item in your list would be knowing the school you're going for. You could get this from mentors. You could get them as recommendation from your lecturers. You, you can also get schools you're going to via online platforms like WhatsApp group chats. You could get them through Facebook, social media, and so many other places. Also, two very important sites I like going through are the Graduate Cafe and msinus.com. So you can get a list of schools and you could also know some of the test requirements to get into them. Also, I think scholarship induced was added here because of I'm trying to come from the Erasmus Mundus perspective. In Erasmus Mundus, mostly what you do is you check a course that is channeled to your interest, and say you get a course that goes with your interest. Mostly, they are attached to some coordinators, which are some specific universities. So in this case, the reverse is the case. You don't search for school, then you search for courses you like in those schools. In this case, you search for courses you like, then some specific schools have been assigned to coordinate those courses. So the next stage will be your admission requirements. Nafisa has rightly talked about all these, so I would not bug you so much on these details anymore. So now grad school. I think Esther did wonderful job in talking about grad school, and she shared so many experiences that I believe tallies with mine in particular because we attend same school and the credits units are very important. Deadline, which is your time and everything, you need to manage your time very well to make sure you meet deadlines and every other thing. Also, there's something I need to talk on before we get to graduate school. Going back to the admission requirements, when you're preparing for this test, one of the things I have always tried to make people to do is to form subgroups. For example, I've seen several subgroups on WhatsApp and the likes. One of the things these groups do to you is it fosters this idea of how to collaborate. It gives you this notion of you can't do this on your own. You need other people in this journey to walk you through the path. For example, um, while I was preparing for my graduate studies in the US, I was part of a group of, I think, 12. Most of the people in this group were like preparing for GRE. So we do weekly and daily pedagogy every night. So although the primary aim was to ace our GRE, we ended up being so much close that we were able to pay for our tests, leveraging on the resources and the people we have on the platform. We were able to even pay for grad school application and so many other things. And funny enough, most of them got to the US before I even gained my admission to graduate school. So I was able to get some colleagues telling me that they were going to foot my entire test fee if I'm going to reapply again to the US. So these are like the kind of network you want to leverage upon. So now going back to the deadlines and collaborations, I think coming from a technical standpoint, most of the work I did in Carnegie Mellon were about programming. So there's this thing that you don't show anyone your code. However, you could collaborate, you could talk about ideas and every other thing. And if you do that right, trust me, you're not going to really struggle during your graduate school journey. So about the work hours, Esther has talked about this, which are about the students' work hours you're permitted to work per week. Typically, it's 20 hours per week and 80 hours per month. So try your best not to exceed this. Now, work, study, play balance. This is very, very key. I have a friend and a colleague. I think he's one of the smartest minds I've ever met in Carnegie Mellon and so many other places I've been to. And one thing I noticed about this guy is that he sleeps 8 p.m. in the night and wakes up 7 a.m. in the morning. This is not in consonance with most of the motivational speeches we've heard. Most of them tell you that you have to sleep for just 4 hours. This guy sleeps for a whooping 11 or 10 hours every day. And he made a perfect 4 points in his first semester. I don't know about the second. But what I'm trying to say is that know yourself and try to establish a balance between work, study, and play. Now, I'm going to touch on the internship opportunities. And the internship opportunities are what drives you to the graduate's postgraduate life. Most of the internship opportunities that will come your way will be like things that either are related to your field or things that they found out that you have the skill set for it. For example, in my case, I took so many courses that are channeled to machine learning and deep learning. But when it got to internship opportunity, I was a little bit reluctant because I saw most of the opportunities were more of software induced. So I did not apply for most of them. I sat back and I was thinking, okay, maybe I'm not a good fit for this position. And that goes back to what Esther talked about, the imposter syndrome. It's bound to happen. Most times you have the skill set and you just feel like you're not perfectly ready for this. So internship opportunities are out there for you to just give it your all, apply. Don't worry so much about the competition. They're going to sort themselves out. And one of the things I noticed was when I got into my internship role, it's for a non-profit, and I realized that it's going to be like a mixture of software role, GIS, machine learning, and data visualization. I told them my strengths and I told them what I don't know. And they told me not to worry, that they're going to walk me through every bit of the journey. And it has been very exciting ever since then. So now, what next? Say you did everything Nafisa has told you, you did everything Esther has talked about, and you had a perfect grade or you had a wonderful graduate school experience. What next after you graduate? I think this is so important that if you get it wrong from the very beginning, from the school search aspect, you're going to struggle in these aspects. And that brings me back to my internship. I did not apply to my internship. My school submitted our profiles to several companies, and I was reached out to. So if you have a school that has this interest of her graduate students in mind, you stand a greater chance to transition into the internship environment and subsequently go into the perfect work environment without any hurdle. So now, in post graduation, that is after you're done with your postgraduate studies. This is not post graduation as related to your BSc. So you could stay back and develop some relevant skills. You could also work on several projects. This is one aspect I like a lot because I get very excited when I complete a project. There's this dopamine push that comes to me, and it's always work. And one thing about developing a project is that the Pareto principle always work. It's a 20-80 rule. You don't need to apply 100% of the skills you know. 20% of the skill sets you have are enough to build some very wonderful novel projects. Then you could also work on transition to the industry. So transition to the industry has to do with you going back to the drawing board and trying to, after sharpening the skill sets you know the industry will need, you now trying to apply consciously to industry. This is like a full-time role. Most times you tend to get interview books, and there's a book about coding. I think that's Acing the Coding Interview. You could get those books, and sometimes you devote as much as 2 to 3 months in preparation to go into the industry. Another thing you could do is going into entrepreneurship. That's you starting a company of your own. Well, if the first four options does not work perfectly for you, you could do what I did, which is more graduate studies. Um, okay, I'm currently enrolled for my second master's, and two of the things that inspired me to go for another master was one, I think I must say the money. Yeah, the money was part of it, and also it's more like while I was at Carnegie Mellon, I got to know that since my background was not in computer science, I had a lot of struggles with the fundamental of the principle. Although I know the coding and so many other things, but I still struggled with some of the fundamentals of computer science. So my second graduate studies, which is also a master's program, was on computer science directly. And this was more like a top-bottom approach. So I started with knowing so much about machine learning. Now I'm coming back to know about the offline encoding, the first come, first serve, whatever, and so many other things that are very useful, like the theory of computation and analysis of algorithm that are so useful for you understanding the higher level of how most of these algorithm works. So that's more graduate studies. And also, it's important I chip in that you could be patriotic and return back to Nigeria and apply your skill sets to so many industries that will find you useful back home. Um, I know there are a lot of scholars on this platform right now, so they understand what I'm trying to say. and I'm sure many of them have the plan to come back to Nigeria after the studies. So if you take the more graduate studies option, it's likened to you trying to go back to whatever you've known before. So it's a good thing because going back to graduate studies gives you this comfort atmosphere. And if you're quite young and you have time in your hands, you could go back for graduate studies and use this time as the perfect time to re-strategize. It's a time for you to do so many of the things you missed in your first graduate studies. I envy this idea because my first graduate studies took just 2 semesters. So going for more graduate studies did not really sound as more graduate studies for me. But if you went for a graduate studies that took you 2 years, I think it's something you might want to reconsider. I use the word more graduate studies and not a PhD because it could be you going for another master's, then another master's again and again. So I'll stop here and hope that most of the questions are in line with things shed more light upon. Because one of my experiences with giving speeches like this is that we tend to forget about the audience and we focus on things we're passionate about. So I'm going to stop here and accept questions for now. Thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you very much, Chamba. So I would like Ms. Nafisa to take our first question.
Hi, Mohammed. Please, what's the question again?
That you should shed more light on Erasmus Mundus.
Oh, okay. So I already dropped a link to the catalog in the comment section, so you can look through. The Erasmus Mundus scholarship is attainable in the UK. Sorry, in Europe, don't mind me. It's available in Europe, UK, and I think Egypt. Yeah. So we have about, I'm trying to get the total number. We have about 149 programs under the Erasmus scholarship where students can apply to. So you can follow the link that I have dropped in the comment section. It will take you to the catalog, and then you can filter to see the different programs that are applicable to you. Then you can check the requirements to see if it's something that you meet, and you can then apply. So there's no one way fits to applying to the Erasmus program because different programs have different requirements. So you need to know what the program requires you to submit, and then you can make your application. I don't know if there's any specific thing you want me to talk about because I really don't know what to say now.
Okay, thank you very much. Oh, okay. Please, if you have a question, you can unmute then ask. Mr. Abdul I'll fix that now. Thank you very much.
Okay, Dachung Alpha is raising his hand. Please go ahead.
Okay, good morning, ma. Thank you very much for sharing more light to us. My question is, somebody asked the question, but I think you didn't maybe see it and respond. Can a student graduating with a second class lower applied for the Erasmus Mundus scholarship?
Okay, yes, a student with a tutu can also apply. So for my set, that's the 2021 set of awardees, we had 63 students with first class, 41 with second class upper, that's a 2-1, and 2 students with second class lower. So it shows you that there's a chance for you to get in, as if you have a tutu. You just need to put in a very strong application, leverage on other areas of your strength, your community involvement, your final year project, just something else that you can really speak about. So do not let your grade make you feel like you're not good enough or you're not sufficient. You can give it a shot. Just leverage on other areas. That's all I'll tell you. I don't know if Shamba has anything to say since he's also an awardee.
Okay, I think that was right. The statistics are accurate. So for a tutu, you just have to work hard. So some of the colleagues with first class might not have to put in as much work as you will. So you have to augment your application with other relevant things. So first, you have to dazzle your coordinators in your interviews. You have to get a lot of publications out there. You have to take a lot of voluntary roles. So you just have to put in more work, but trust me, you can make it.
Okay.
Okay, please. If you have a question, you can unmute.
Hello, good morning. Sorry, I wrote a question in the message box, bro. So thank you very much, our awesome speakers for the, the lecture and everything. My question is, does work experiences also give one an edge in securing or in getting into graduate school and securing a scholarship? Did you get my question?
Okay, so let me try and see if I can do justice to that. So I don't know, maybe you were here during the first presentation when Afisa talked about some kind of voluntary positions you should take up. So SDG is like the watchword right now. There's something I need to add to that. During my NYC, I took up a lot of positions that placed me in the right position to actually apply for most of the scholarships. So the SDG goals are kind of they're interconnected. So when you're taking a particular SDG goal, don't think it doesn't relate to your field and it might not give you an edge when you're applying for graduate school. They're all connected. For example, if you can eliminate hunger from the society, it's going to make people to attend school and probably put them in the right position to secure a good job. And more importantly, it's going to improve on their health and so many other things. So by so doing, you've touched on at least 5 to 6 SD goals. And when you check very well, you don't realize that you've covered the 17 SDG goals. So that's one. Try and work on SDG goals. Try and work on that. Two, you could take online courses. Although most of us take those with levity, some of these programs out there see it as very important. And I will tell you why. Um, one thing I've come to realize is that Nigeria, we don't have money, but we have time. So the same time people used to learn some very advanced skills in sophisticated country where they earn up to $50 per hour, we waste most of those time here without anything. So if you could devote those time to take some very important online courses, it's going to prove that you know what you're doing and you've devoted time in learning this. Not everyone has that time. I struggle right now to even devote 10 hours to learn any other thing outside the work I'm doing. So when you have the time, use it wisely. So yeah, that's all I have to say about improving your chances to get into graduate school.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Nafisa, please, do you have anything to say
So
about
I
it?
would like to ask a question. Okay.
I think Obiba Bumi has question. You can go ahead and
Yes.
ask.
You can go ahead.
Okay, I would like to ask that probably you are applying before your NYC. And are you listening? Are you hearing me? Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, probably you are applying before even the NYC program. Can you include some voluntary activity you engage in secondary school? Because now you've not like you've not gone to having to do volunteer activity. So what do you think about that?
Okay, if I get you correctly, you're asking if you can include activities you did while you're in NYC while you're not done.
No, why you've not even started NYC? Because application for 2022 is around this September, the priority application for
Okay,
funding.
sure.
That is September. Okay. And I'm not yet going for NYC because I'm trying to prepare for some of the exams. So probably October I'll go for my NYC. So
Yeah.
most likely I would have submitted my application before NYC service and before I could partake in all those activities, voluntary activities. So what do you think?
Okay. Okay, that's a very good question you have there. So one thing you don't do, you don't project. So although you're going to get some of the interviews when you're in the NYC, but you don't write skills you plan on doing directly that you've done them. You should include them and say that this is what you hope to do. Because sometimes planning on doing some things actually shows that, yes, you have them in mind. So, what you should do is try and check something you did while you were an undergraduate, write well on them, sell yourself. Nafisa emphasized so well on that. Sell yourself well and tell them that this is what you hope to do. For example, I had an application. Okay, yeah, one of a program I applied for in Erasmus. Something I did was that I realized it was on robotics and everything, and I submitted. I started writing my SOP, and I told them that I am enrolled for 2 courses on robotics on Coursera. They've not started yet, but I hope to learn this and this when it starts. So you could also include that as a projection. I hope that answers your questions.
Yes.
Okay, just to add, Oluwabumi, please can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, so the things you did in school are very important too. There are things that you can add. So for me, when I was in school, I was the class representative for my class from year one till my final year. I added that as a leadership as a leadership role in my application. Also, I was the vice president and then I became the president of my association. So it shows that I had some level of leadership experience even when I was in school before graduating. So if you have those kind of things, or maybe you attended conferences in school, you attended seminars, no matter how small, even if it's just a small gathering of your mates and you guys just did something or a seminar or something, you can add it. Those are little bits that shows that you're putting yourself out there and you're trying to improve on yourself. Even right now, before the application is going to start very soon. I think in September, October. You still have like 2 months to do stuff. You can volunteer online. There are online programs that you could take that could boost your profile as well. So that's just what I would add. Thank you.
So, Ayobami, my direct question is directed towards you. I have a background in mathematics, so I have interest actually in AI and machine learning. So I don't know if you can advise appropriately on any possible online courses I can be able to take. Maybe you can direct me.
Okay, thank you so much for your question. So you said you have a background in mathematics. So having a background in mathematics is already a good thing. But one thing I would like to ask you, because people mix two things together, what part of AI do you want? Do you want to go into applied AI, meaning using a already pre-built model into probably solving a problem, or you want to go into building your own model, possibly maybe finding how best to improve on the existing model, or bringing out models and maybe building a totally new solution at all. So what specific part? Because you need to be sure on this thing. There are two different things.
Okay, okay. Actually, I think I'm more directed towards the applied AI. Actually.
Okay, so if you're directed towards the applied AI, what it just means is you need a course that can teach you like how you can make use of data, possibly understand the different kind of models that are available, how you can make the right choices. So one of the things you can do is you can take a course that's on Coursera. You can take courses on Coursera on possibly maybe data science related, because if you take like their applied machine learning, the machine learning itself I've taken the course before. The machine learning course itself goes into deep, let's say deeper courses of what is gradient descent, why do you have to select gradient descent, what's this model, like the mathematics behind it, that's what it talks about. Well, you should look for courses like maybe data analytics, data science on Coursera or on EDX or on Udemy. Or another thing you can do is if you use LinkedIn Learning, there are some specific courses that has to do with maybe data cleaning, data exploration. All those courses we kind of give you an edge on how to start working with data, what to start looking on with working with data, and how you can build your own model with this clean data and how you can evaluate and get the results. So that's more related to like the application rather than for you to like understand how each model works. Like when they talk about SG boost, what goes behind SG boost, what how is the model itself make, what's the mathematics behind it. That's more tailored to you building a model itself. I hope that
Oh,
helps.
yeah,
You
thank
can
you.
also email me, or you can also chat me up. You can reach
All
out to
right,
Mohammed if I can probably get some links and share with you if it's
all right.
related to other.
I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Okay, so we have a feedback link on the chat box. You can fill the feedback link so you get other resources and the links from our speakers. So we have Ife Olua raising his hand, please. After Ife Olua, Oluwabumi, you should accept it.
Good day, everyone. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. My question is directed to the Erasmus Mundus scholar Abidemi Nofisat. Hello? Hello?
I
Hi,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear
Yeah,
you,
go ahead, we
Olua.
can hear you.
Um, now, I looking at the when I went through the Erasmus Mundus scholarship guide and all of that, and one thing I discovered was that the writing of the statement of purpose, the story must be, it must have something to do with the program one is applying for. Now, for someone who wants to switch careers, it will be it will be a lot difficult. Now, in my case, now I have a background, an undergraduate background in philosophy, and then I intend going for the international masters in security, strategic studies, and all of that. So now my question is, how, because I've been trying to wrap my head around it and all of that. I don't have any experience in it at all. It is just a sudden change. It's a change I want to make because I'm a lot very much interested in international and intelligence. So how do I tailor my SOP? How do I tailor my letter, my statement of purpose, such that it will be able to, when the admissions, whatever they are going through, I'll stand a very, very good chance. First of all, given that I don't have an undergraduate background in such field. Secondly, I don't have any working experience. It's just now I'm trying to find out volunteer experience in security, peace studies, and so that is my question for Abidemi officer. Thank you.
Okay, hi, Olua. So for IMSIS, that's International Masters in Security Intelligence, right? That's the program you want to apply to.
Exactly.
Okay, have you looked through the program requirements?
Yes, I've gone through it several times.
Okay, is there anything that relates or that speaks to what you've done in your undergrad? Are they asking you to provide? Okay, so I know that some Erasmus program will tell you in your undergrad you should have taken so and so courses. I don't know if this program is asking for that kind of information.
Yeah, it is asking for that kind of information to be included in the SOP.
Okay, and you do not have any,
I
none of the courses you took in your undergrad speaks to it, right?
at all. I studied philosophy, so it's a lot. There is a wide gap.
Very different, yeah. So, to be honest, I don't know. You'll be competing with people who have enough knowledge about the program already. Because I know that we have one senior scholar, Jennifer, who is currently in the UK taking this course.
Yes.
I know it would be very competitive, to be honest. I don't know how you would stand out. Maybe take courses on Coursera or Udemy to help improve your portfolio. But to be honest, I'll just advise you to check the Erasmus catalog. You can apply to, I think, about 3 courses. Check for the ones that concerns you, to be honest, for you to stand a better chance of getting in. It would be quite difficult for you to move from philosophy to security and intelligence studies without any background knowledge. You would struggle, and the program would not want to admit someone who would come in and struggle. So if you can take those courses and, like Shamba earlier said, just do better at them and add it to your SOP. Tell them that, okay, you do not have the required background, but these are courses that you're taking to augment the knowledge that you have already about this program. That way they may just feel like, okay, this person is trying to transition and this person has a passion for this area, and they may consider you. I'm not the admission body, I don't know so much about it, but that's what I think would help you to at least have a chance of competing with other people who have prior knowledge about it from their undergrad. I don't know if this answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you very much. That will do. Thank you.
Okay, I think Mrs. Esther wants to add something to that.
Okay, so I just wanted to add just one thing, which is the truth is it's not all scholarship that satisfy, like one scholarship satisfies everyone. That's why there are different varieties, and different scholarship goes to different schools and they address different needs. Yeah, Erasmus is a very good scholarship. It gives you the opportunity to travel, to visit Europe, but there are also other ones. You can try and check on Chevening. Most Chevening scholarships, they are tailored towards the area you're thinking of, possibly social science and in that field. So you could check out if their program seem more like a perfect fit for you. And sometimes they don't even require you to have some prior knowledge or to be in that particular field for you to apply. Let's take, for example, MasterCard, for example. It's so easy for someone who wants to transition or you want to move from one particular field to another one to try and use MasterCard scholarship, because in their scholarship, they don't necessarily like consider your undergraduate. Not that they don't consider your grades, please. Well, I don't mean they don't consider it, meaning that they still want somebody who is exceptional, who is very good. But they want to be sure that it's so easy for you to kind of like switch. And since you're very good in this field, it's possible you put the same passion into that field even have any idea or anything in IT. Like Shamba said he didn't do computer science, but here he did AI and he was very fine. And he did his master's in that field, meaning it's easy for you to transition. So you can also look at other different scholarship board and see if they are perfect fit for what you want to do. Don't forget that when you're choosing any program, before you start considering the places it will take you to, first consider where it will take you to in the future, meaning how exactly does it fit or does it match your future aspiration and goals, and how does it match the person you want to be in the future. So you can check other scholarship, check MCF, checking is it King Abdulaziz? That one take you to, I think, is it Qatar or something? So there are so many. Just check as many scholarship as possible and see which one perfectly fits your goal before you jump into it. Another thing you can do is apply for everything. Even when you feel like you don't meet the minimum qualification or you feel like you're not as good as possible. It might just be an imposter syndrome speaking to your mind and telling you you can't do it. You can still apply for it, and if you're able to display your passion and they can see through your passion and see that, oh yeah, possibly maybe you did something different, but now your mind is changing and this is what you want now, and they'll still pick you. And lastly, there's no harm in trying. The worst thing you can do, you can get is a no. But what if you get a yes? So don't let that thing stop you. Just apply anyway. The worst is a no, and you still survive without it. and and you can still get a yes out of it. So spread your tentacles high and apply for as many as you want. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I saw Shamba raising his hand. I think he wants to contribute. After his contribution,
I think that's even sharing for when I noticed Ayobami and Nafisa had done everything I needed to say, I just had to raise my hand now. So one thing I just have to add is that if you know you're going for graduate studies and you know ahead of time that you have to apply, one thing you can do is mold what you want the graduate school to see. So now you have from now to February to submit your application. You could start building that intelligence guy, the guy that can go for international masters for intelligence studies, start taking online courses on that aspect. For example, I took up a full programming language because my program needed that. I knew before time that they were going to ask about that in an interview. So I started preparing 3 months before that day. So you could do that and just see what comes out of it. As Esther has rightly said, the worst you can get is a no. And I think that's even a very good pillar to build upon.
All right, thank you very much. We'll take Olabumi, then Damilare, and we'll end the question and answer session as of time.
Okay, I would like to thank you for all those questions before this time. I would like to ask, okay, of this end, I've been seeing more of apply as many as possible, apply as many as possible, apply as many as possible. But after doing your research and you want to go to a particular country like US and you are just working towards US, and you notice that most of those things require many application fee and they are not waiving them. Please, are you hearing me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, and they are not waiving those application fees. So is it still advisable to follow the advice, apply to any school since there's a limit because of the application fee, because of financial stuff here in Nigeria? Then I would also like to ask that what is the minimum acceptance rate of the schools which you applied to?
Okay, let me try Akomolafe Olabumi. So for your first question on application fee, right? You can
Yes.
reach out to the graduate school coordinators. Usually, they give graduate fee waiver for most schools in
I've
the
reached out
US.
to most of them, yeah. Some of them say, most of them say that they don't have policy of waiving application fees. I only have a school that responded to that and gave me the form. The others said that they don't have the policy. Then the other one that told me that they can waive application fee, they have some certain organization that they waive application fee to. For instance, US military, which I'm not part, and some other organizations.
Okay, so well, to the best of my knowledge, I know that for schools in the US, when you attend some of their open day programs, they give application fee waiver. So you need to be very intentional. You need to ask questions. If you have people in those schools, you can ask them to please guide you on how to get application fee waivers. I know they give waivers because I have a couple of friends that got application fee waivers last year for several schools. So you need to ask the right question. Maybe you're not asking the questions well. I don't know, but you need to just reach out to people who are current students of those schools to please guide you, and then you can sign up to those schools newsletter. I know they send mails all the time, so you can read through their mails. Usually, you could just be lucky to find the waiver in any of those newsletters, or they'll tell you when next they're having a session, and you can join. During the session, you can ask your questions live instead of sending email.
Mm,
You could
okay.
try that approach as well. And then you can also follow people on Twitter. I know a couple of people, there's this hashtag academic Twitter on Twitter. Academic, yeah, academic Twitter. Is it academic? I can't remember, but there's something around academic on Twitter where they drop information all the time and they drop application fee waivers. I've seen a couple of them myself, so I'm speaking based on the knowledge that I have. You can follow people on Twitter, people who tweet about academics and postgraduate opportunities. You definitely see something.
Okay. All right.
And then your second question, what is your second question again?
I said, what's the minimum acceptance rate of a university should we apply to? Like the minimum, if, for instance, if the application rate, acceptance rate of a school is about 20%, is it still advisable to apply? That's what I mean. And what's the minimum rate you think we should apply to if, do you understand my question?
I
Minimum
understand you.
application rate of a school you can apply to.
Well, it
Okay.
depends on your interests, to be honest. Me, I would advise you to apply to a school that has a very high acceptance rates for international students. That way, you know that okay, the chances are better than applying to a school with a 10% or 15% acceptance rate of international students.
Okay.
But Esther wants
Sorry,
to
can I
conclude.
ask, is 60% is 60%, for instance, high enough?
I think 60% is good enough. Esther wants to say
Okay.
something.
Yeah, I want to add just something small to what you just said. So one thing is, don't limit yourself. Even if a school has a 1% chance of acceptance, just take it like you're the 1%. Most times we limit ourselves with what we see on their website. What if we are the ID students? So in order to help yourself and to be on the safe side, what people often do is they divide the application into three things. They have this the high priority or the high standard school that have low acceptance rates. They can have like three of them. They have the medium rate school, which are like another three of them. And then they have like the safe school, which can be like four of them, more like you're applying to 10 schools at the same time. That way, you know that you've already spread your eggs in different baskets. In case one got broken, you still have the other ones left. But nothing stops you from getting the one that have the lower acceptance rate. I have a mentee that got accepted into Princeton, and we all know that Princeton is a prestigious school and the acceptance rate is quite low, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You might just be the ID candidate they are looking for. So don't allow that voice in your head that tells you that you might not get it. So still send your application letter there. But while you are sending your application letter there, we are Africans, we are Nigerians, we are very smart. We also have other alternatives that can serve the purpose in case that fails. So that's just it. Thank
Okay. Okay.
All right, thank you very much. Damilari, your question.
Okay, yeah, before Damilare goes with his question, let me just add something to the first question you asked. You said something about apply it to as many as possible. I think
Mm,
you misconstrued that question because what Esther meant by apply to many as possible is apply to diverse body of scholarships. So now going back to you applying to US school, I think there's an ideal formula out there. It's usually to apply to 8 schools if you have the resources. Most people don't advise you to apply to more than 8 schools. Now, if you're applying to 8 schools, you use this formula. You take 2 schools that are higher than your rank. You can check your rank on, you can check Grad Cafe, MSc US, and some other sites. You know your profile. You can even get a score for your profile. You apply to 2 programs that are more like A rank or B rank, depending on where your profile falls. Then you apply to 4 programs within your profile. Then you apply to 2 lowly ranked schools. They usually call them safe schools, but from experience, there's no safe schools out there anymore. So 8 is the ideal number. That's one. So two, about applying to as many as possible. That is very, very advisable. Now, this is the reason why. You don't just want to say you want to go to the US and you ignore every other scholarships out there. You're going to put yourself at a very great disadvantage. I'm telling you this out of experience. I did the same thing in 2018 when I started my scholarship journey. I also fixated on US and I applied to just 3 programs and I applied to major Ivy Leagues and schools that I thought I was good for, but I got rejected in all programs. So despite that, I stood firm and I reapplied 2019. Not everyone has that tenacity. Some people just give up right there and ignore it because when you see so many of your colleagues that you know you guys worked hard for this together, got there. Sometimes you even have far better scores than these people, but they apply to the right schools and they got the right funding and everything. So what I did 2019 was I did not concentrate on US schools alone. I applied to all over the world, trust me. Applied to Turkey, Europe, Africa, US, and everything. And I must tell you, even till last month, I still get offers from some of the programs I applied to as way back as 2019. So you have nothing to lose. And when you apply to diverse body of scholarships, one good thing is that most of them you don't pay application fee, because I think the application fee for schools ends in the US mostly. Most of the other scholarships like the Commonwealth, the Mastercard, the Chevening, the Turkey, Larry, and all those other ones, you don't pay application fees for them. So that's what Esther meant by apply to as many as possible. I hope I cleared that out.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Damilari.
Okay, thank you very much. My question is going to be on our resume, and I mean our portfolio. So I don't know if the speakers can kind of help say some things on some of the things they emphasize in their portfolio, I mean their resume, while applying for some of these opportunities. Because okay, I don't need to explain my question. I think yeah, that's it.
Okay, I'll go first then. I think everyone can say theirs. Okay, personally, some scholarships you don't need to emphasize on any. For example, am currently a NIDA scholar, and what that scholarship just entails is you writing an aptitude test and being the highest from your state. If you're the highest from your state, you win the scholarship automatically. While others like the Erasmus Mundus, like Nafisa has rightly pointed out, you need to go for a program that is good fit for you. So they check your undergraduate curriculum and they check your courses and they ensure that you've done courses in the past that are related to this field. And like what Miriam asked on the chat, your work experience matters a lot in Erasmus Mundus. I've heard of people with almost 10 years of work experience getting. So Erasmus Mundus does not discriminate based on age and all that. So work experience matters a lot, so you can emphasize on that. And most importantly, I got a program on marine intelligent robotics, and I think one of the things I emphasized was the conflating um, my undergraduate, which is on control instrumentation, with the marine environment. And what I told them was that I have a company that is into catfish farming. Like I raised 3,000 catfishes, and they were very impressed with that. So just know what the program wants and emphasize on that, and I think you'll be fine. So that's for me. I think others have other experiences to share.
Okay, thank you for that, Chamba. I'd like to remind us to fill the form on the chat box so we can help, so it can help us better the program next time and also help us send you the resources and the recordings to this session. So we'll not take any question again. The next thing is a vote of thanks from Miriam, and she will also be telling us about Ignite Research Academy. So Miriam.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think this presentation has been very interesting and exciting. Thank you very much, our outstanding panelists, for delivering such an interesting and enlightening webinar on the post-undergraduate school nuts and bolts. I think you guys really tied the boat, and thank you. We really appreciate you taking your time to share your experiences um, in getting this scholarship. We really appreciate the time and the effort. And to our participants, thank you very much for also joining us, and um, thank you so much for joining us. So the Ignite Research Academy is an educational startup that aspires to be a world-class research academy known for high-quality research capability development. Our vision is to build a network of competent and technologically savvy African researchers through research and capacity building in order to achieve SDGs 9 and 17, which call for technological and economic transformation. So next is the Ignite Research Academic team. So for the team, we have our founder and lead, which is Muhammad Ali. I think he was the moderator for today's series, webinar series. And then the co-founder, Mr. Oladipo Ibrahim. Then we also have our human resource lead, Ms. Hadiza Umar Yusuf, and finally communication lead, which is me, Mariam Suleiman. So I would say once again, I would like to say thank you very much for your time, and we sincerely hope that because we'll also be having more webinar series to come in subsequent months. So we also hope that you also join us in order to be able to gain more beneficial knowledge and enlightenment on research, on educational progress, transformation, and all. So thank you so much, everyone, for your time, and have a lovely weekend.
Thank you very much, Mariam.
Thank you, Mariam.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pisa.
Okay.
Thanks, Ali.
Thank you, Mara.
And I saw Ibrahim on the call.
Yeah, Master Shamba,
So,
thank
But
you
they
very
gave
much.
you Wi-Fi in your
good
flight
evening.
or what? Where are you
Ah,
leaving?
my flight in the night, sir.
Okay, okay. Safe trip, brother.